So says Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary. She says deep fakes and cheap fakes have convinced people not to believe that Joe Biden is a vigorous, healthy, energetic, sharp, 81-year-old president of the United States. Here is Karine Jean-Pierre.
Ironically, several recent cheap fakes actually attack the president for thanking troops. That is what they're attacking the president for. Both in Normandy, this happened, and again in Italy. And I think that it tells you everything that we need to know about how desperate Republicans are here. Instead of talking about the president's performance in office, and what I mean by that is his legislative wins, what he's been able to do for the American people across the country, we're seeing these deep fakes, these manipulated videos. And it is, again, done in bad faith.
Deep fakes, cheap fakes, manipulated videos done in bad faith, desperate to manipulate your mind. Let's just analyze each of those words. Manipulate you, desperate, trying to convince you of a lack of a fake reality in lieu of the reality that he was there to thank troops. And by the way, they were criticizing him for thanking the troops, says Karine Jean-Pierre. Well, every bit of that was fake. Every bit of that was a fake. Every bit of that was manipulation. Every bit of that was desperate. Nobody criticized Joe Biden for thanking the troops. Doesn't matter if Karine Jean-Pierre says it twice. Nobody criticized Joe Biden for thanking the troops. They criticized Joe Biden for wandering around. It wasn't zoomed in. It wasn't cut out of context. Oh, yeah, there was another paratrooper or parachutist that landed somewhere different than when the rest of the world leaders were looking, and Joe Biden wanders over to a second one. That is true. But do you know why the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni went over and tapped him on the elbow and asked him to come back? Because they had been given instructions, according to Emmanuel Macron, the Prime Minister of France. They've been given instructions to all stand together and interact with only the one parachutist. But Joe Biden can't follow instructions, so Giorgia Meloni has to bring him into line. That's the context. You want to zoom out? That's the reality. And it was also echoed on stage with Barack Obama. When he didn't know how to leave, Barack Obama grabs him by the hand and leads him off stage. We can all see it. But that, too, dismissed as a cheap fake. A cheap fake. Cutting something out of context, zooming in, not allowing you to see reality. Now, let me give you a perfect example of a cheap fake. Ironically, a YouTuber named Brian Tyler Cohen, who has a show called No Lie, gave us a perfect example of a lie. He tweeted the following with this picture. He said, here's a photo of Trump having to hold someone's hand to guide him off stage. I'm sure this will get as much coverage as the daily Biden old story. And here's the picture that No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen gives to the public. An absolute lie. It is President Trump seemingly holding hands with Donald Trump Jr., guiding him off the stage. Is that real? Or is that a cheap fake? Is that a lie? Here's the video. There's Donald Trump clapping, waving at the crowd. Donald Trump Jr. below him on the stage. A quick grab of the hand, like a high five. Two hands touching together for about 1/1000. 1 second. Is he being led off the stage? Is it a lie? Or is Brian Tyler Cohen, the host of No Lie, a perpetrator of cheap fakes, of deep fakes, of manipulation, of desperation to convince us it's not Joe Biden who's old, it's Donald Trump who needs help? Or is Brian Tyler Cohen, in fact, a liar? By the way, all of these have been echoed from Karine Jean-Pierre onto CBS and NBC and ABC and every other mainstream outlet. They're now running, and you'll see the buzzwords take off with cheap fake. It'll be like Juneteenth in a year. Today is June 19th. Juneteenth, which when I was growing up was a barely known local holiday that all of a sudden is a national holiday. I mean, if you look up Google Trends or Joe Biden tweets about June 19th, they're non-existent before 2019. Of course, with our racial reckoning, national freakout, it becomes a national holiday. Doesn't seem tied to the best of intentions. Doesn't seem tied to the abolishment of slavery. It seems tied to some other lack of unity in the United States of America where we need separate anthems and separate holidays. Yes, of course, we celebrate the abolishment of slavery, but no one ever heard of Juneteenth. And my estimation is if you polled 10 Americans, 10 African Americans, could you get 2 that truly tell you what is Juneteenth? I would love to see that sample size. But just like Juneteenth exploded out of nowhere, you're about to be inundated with cheap fake. On Second Take, they are once again guilty of what they accuse their opponents. They are guilty of manipulation, of desperation, of cheap fakes, of deep fakes, of lies.